Hello, dear listener. Let me put my light on so that you can see me. Sorry for our rather late start. The internet was against us. You know how it is. Fortunately, we will not be having to use the internet for much longer, and we will be able to give you a more reliable service. But here we are, so let us begin. What we're looking at in particular tonight is the way in which our borough, Tower Hamlets, is changing and developing, and the way in which it seems that we, the little people who just live here, are being treated by the developers, by the council, by big business, by medium business sometimes, and how we are sort of moved around and our interests don't come first. We touched on the subject recently with the discussion of One Housing Group and its attempt to be taken over by the Riverside Housing Association. But it's a more widely spread problem even than that. So with me tonight, I have two guests, and we're going to look at how some of these issues are affecting the ward of Lansbury, which is just north of the Blackwall Tunnel. So first of all, I think I'd like to say welcome back to Jahed Chowdhury. Jahed, hello.
Hi, Jenny. Good evening. Thank you for inviting me. It's a
You're very
beautiful show.
welcome. You're,
Really, thank you and
it's
your stuff.
it's your second visit to the Tuesday show, Jahed. Last
Yeah,
time you
yeah,
were speaking very eloquently about the referendum on the whether Tower Hamlets should have a mayor or
yes.
a
And
direct.
as you know, thankfully, and we are really pleased that our hundred people believed us, and they choose to keep their voting right and keep elected mayor in the Tower Hamlets.
Well, it
So
was
I really thank you and
it's
thanks everybody in Tower Hamlets, especially.
absolutely, and
Yeah,
yeah, thank you for being such an eloquent campaigner. Um, but it was not just a victory, of course; it was an absolute thumping
something. Yeah.
victory, wasn't it? It was a very, very
Yeah,
clear mandate.
80% of the Tower Hamlet residents has agreed with us. As you remember, all the three main party, Lib Dem, Conservative, and the Labour Party,
Mm,
they got together
yeah,
to oppose the mayoral system.
yes.
And Tower Hamlet residents, thankfully, the 80% of the residents agreed with us and rejected them. So I'm
It was
really grateful.
certainly a massive majority.
Yes,
So
it is.
we're going to be coming now to talking about traffic issues in the Lansbury ward. But before we do that, let's actually introduce our second guest tonight, who is Iqbal Hussain. Iqbal, I'm afraid I have referred to you in some of our publicity as Hussain with a U, and you are Hossein with an O. So I'm sorry about that,
Right, no worries.
but we we know who you are. So let's kick off then. Um, one of the main traffic issues in Lansbury at the moment. Well, no. What I really want to start off by saying is how I, as somebody who doesn't go to Lansbury often, find that when I do, there's so much more traffic than there used to be. It really is like a honeypot
Mm,
for cars at the moment, particularly at rush hour time, and there they sit, churning out their fumes. Why do you think this has happened, Iqbal? Let's bring you in first.
Thank you, Jenny, for having me in this on the show. Um, um, Back in 2010, I think 2010, I led a campaign to stop to having imposed ban on heavy vehicle, particularly lorries and truck, to use the abattoir as a shortcut, um, coming from A12 to A13 and vice versa. And thankfully, we had a successful campaign, and council had to impose a ban on heavy vehicle since then, but it's still voluntary. It's not compulsory, and I don't know people still using it if they get any fine or if they get any sort of punishment for that. So, but still, it's a problem
Mm. Well, certainly
because
that underpass I think was brought in by Labour back in 1994 when the local councillors in what was then East India Ward campaigned to have that underpass there to have the bus use it. but not much of the traffic, so that the bus could get through, but there wasn't going to be extra traffic in the ward. Sorry, you were going to say, Iqbal?
If the present proposal and the master plan of the Aberfeldy development proposed by the Harka, initially I thought it's going to be a good idea if they have closer on Abbott Road, but then I thought hard on this, and I think it's going to create a havoc and create a immense implication on traffic flow, because we have hundreds of residents particularly in the peak hours. At the moment, they can go at join A12 straight away, 30 seconds to minute or 2 minutes in the peak hour. But if they have closer on it, they close the underpass. The 200 cars, people living in this, say, not all of them, but if I say roughly 200 residents to go out for work using A12, it's going to take them go to 11 Road or a turn right from that, controlled by traffic, is going to take 10 to 15, 20 minutes for some people. So it's going to be immense detrimental effect on traffic, particularly on people's daily life.
So, Jahed, you wanted to talk about the underpass as well, because it seems to have sparked off a big campaign. Am I right?
Yes.
Can you tell us how you see it?
I mean, if you can see, Lansbury is bordered by A13, and A12 Lansbury Ward, and Aberfeldy and Teviot is separated by A12. So Popular Halka is taking a massive development project in Aberfeldy and Teviot as well. But they haven't thought about everything, I think, especially the traffic. If they say, for example, if they close the underpass, so how the Aberfeldy residents going to join A12? They have to come through, Liban Road to Lochnagar Street. So Liban Road is mainly a residential area. Now there is not much traffic. Only the people who live there, mainly people close to A13 or A12 through Abbott Road, which is still some house there, but not predominantly residential street. But if you divert the traffic through a residential street, one, you are increasing the pollution. Two, you are making this road is very difficult for the kid, especially the school time, and the residents as well. And I mean, say for example, from Auburn Street and from Auburn House and from those, if they want to join A12, now it takes about, like Brother Iqbal says, about 2-3 minutes. So that 2-3 minutes journey going to take them during the peak hour at least about 10 minutes, because we live in this area, Teviot and Aberfeldy as well. They have only one junction we can join to A12 from Teviot. And Aberfeldy, I think currently they have used the underpass for the bus. And there is from Abbott Road, you can join A12. And Lochnagar Street as well, you can join A12. So now if you stop Abbott Road, you've got only one choice, traffic through the residential area, Liban Road, and to Lochnagar Street, which is controlled by the traffic light. And it's massively, sometimes this traffic light is, because it's joining to a main road, it takes so long. And you will see the traffic build up. When traffic build up, obviously pollution going to be worse in that case. So they have to think about it. And there are other implications as well. Popular Harka is massively developing now the Teviot plus the Aberfeldy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was just going to say that I think traffic in the area has grown a lot worse since, I don't know the names of the local streets, but since they invented that traffic light right turn off the A102 going northward. That was bizarre, wasn't it? It was a bizarre set of traffic lights to put in, and a bizarre turning to have, because there you were on a dual carriageway, and all of a sudden you get traffic lights, which you don't expect on a dual carriageway. So I don't think it's very easy for the traffic. But then The other thing I think that Poplar Harker did, which I found surprising, had a bad effect on traffic, was that posh tower block they built on a very small piece of land. What's it called? Something like the Pantheon or something like that. And since that's been, there must be some road
No,
changes at the same time, and there's just masses of traffic waiting at rush
no,
hour
but
now.
Jenny, my question is to Poplar Hark and the old development plus the council as well. They have to think through this. When you develop area like Teviot or Aberfeldy, obviously new people gonna come in. It's gonna impact the traffic.
Mm,
It's gonna impact the current resource as well. Say for example in Teviot, there is only one primary school now. There is no and only one secondary school in Landon Park, which is covered by Aberfeldy and stuff. And Aberfeldy have one primary school as well. But the development they're proposing is a massive in this area. So
mm,
that I mean, when how about this school? Now I mean the resource is so tight. Local people don't get. I mean, for the school place, it's really competitive now. Say for example, another very important prospect is there is no youth center now. Pre, During the previous administration, there was about 54 youth center, but now only about 8. So in
mm,
Teviot, I can see, I can tell you now because the kids they don't have anywhere to go.
uh,
Currently, the kid about Feldy and Teviot, if you come and visit, is throughout the borough is same. Every position is
mm.
same everywhere. The
Yes,
kids they
that's
don't
true.
have anywhere to go. They
Mm,
spend their time browsing in the road, you know,
mm.
spending time with their peer pressure. And those kids are getting involved with petty crime plus the
Yes,
drug dealing. We
and
have
serious
massive,
crime.
yeah, we have massive problem in Treviot, in and about as well, drug related problem.
Well, let's come on to those sorts of problems in a second. I just wanted to say to our listeners, if you would like to ring into the show on 0208 1234507, we'd love to hear if you're from the Lansbury area or you go through the Lansbury area. We'd love to have your comments on what's going on in that ward. Um, or if you feel that your part of Tower Hamlets is being treated in a separate way, we'd love to hear from you as well. So please ring in or put a comment on our Vod Talk Facebook page in the comments box. And I see that Mohammed Ibrahim Ghazi, I think, has commented already. And he's been very complimentary. He says, "Hey, Jenny, you've got nice, talented people with you." So there we are.
Thank you.
Your local knowledge is being much appreciated. He also would like Jahed to put a light on his face so that we see him better. But Jahed, I've given Jahed strict instructions not to move because we had so many technical problems setting everything up. So Jahed will just have to. You'll have to appreciate Jahed's beauty, the way he is presented now. I
Sorry
think
about that.
so.
I'm in my, I have guests in my house, so I have to, host the meeting from my kitchen because I have my
That's a
niece came, my niece came from Manchester with her family.
We shall let you back to join with her very
Mm.
soon. But Iqbal, what's your view about
Hi, Jenny. About so
the
having said
development
about
going on?
the closed underpass closed, I understand that we need a better connection between the this part of Lansbury with the other part. As we need it, a safer connection. At the moment, the underpass we use for the footway is not safe at all, and it's dirty all the time,
Mm,
particularly and smelly, dirty, and it's not safe. If you walk past, you have to look back over your shoulder. Is anybody behind you? Yeah, so it's not safe. We can make it
mm,
safer. We need to look for a different, not the closed underpass. We need a better camera. And in modern technology, we can make it more safer. Maybe a footbridge over the A12, or could be you can make it more safer with the camera, having cameras on both sides. We need to think about a better and safer and connection between two parts. So people will go to work, they come back
mm,
safe in the evening, particularly in the when the days are short. So in the evening, 3 o'clock in the evening, when they come 3 o'clock when the sun set, 3:30, and if you come back from after 7, you see very dark and nobody around you, and you don't feel safe.
No.
I feel the same. You know, we understand that we need a safer and a better connection between the two parts of the in Lansbury. That's not a problem. But having closer the underpass, it will bring more problem. Say, for example, it could be a safe haven for people who doing drug dealers. It could be a place for people just loitering around here. So that's going to bring more problem. At the moment, we have a number of a constant issue about the Aberfilly dead end. We're having boys about 30, 40, sometimes 10 to 20, 30, particularly in the summertime, having their bikes lay on the footpath, blocked access to the, and they throw their can bottles and stuff all over the places, and people, as a pedestrian, as a local, we're not going to challenge them, confront them why have your bikes on the boat. Say, council need to do provide better but option for the young people, for the youth, so they can engage themselves other than having loitering on the street, not going to the park. When park is not attractive, is just an empty land. The what is called the Millennium Green is that a piece of empty land is not attractive for any age group, particularly
So you're basically
maybe for. Sorry, Jenny. So a constant antisocial behavior is there around there, and recently this place has been branded as a high crime place, car crime. So we have a sign saying that be aware of the theft, car theft. So it is officially been branded that this is high car crime areas, and it is happening. Sometimes you see 4 or 5 cars windows been smashed in 1 week, and sometimes it goes a bit low, then it's start again. So it's a huge issue around there. We understand we need housing, but the Aberfield is a small, tiny land, and if we have built 6,000 more houses in here, it's going to bring about 10,000 more people here. It's going to be densely populated area, and it will have impact on all other daily life of the people living here.
It sounds like, it's going to be as bad for you as it was for us on the Isle of Dogs. I mean, when I moved in 39 years ago, there were 6,000 dwellings on the Isle of Dogs, and now there's 24,000 last time I counted, and probably more since. And we're due to get another 6,000 or 7,000.
One more point I need to make. Abbott Road previously wasn't just a road. In the last 20 years, we have new houses on the Abbott Road. So people living on the Abbott Road, we, including myself, we like living on a live motorway. You have noise and fumes around the clock because that's an access, a shortcut for the people in the Abbott Road. It's not fair for those people having those noise and going through tremor. So my house is not my house only. I can send some picture of the houses. They have cement coming off between the blocks. So it's having a sign of subsidence of few houses because of the tremor we experience on a daily basis, the speed and heavy vehicles. I did send some pictures to the council when I started the campaign to stop the lorries. Thankfully, they did it, but it's still voluntary and it's not enough. We think we should be the council should do more to give a break people living on the Abbott Road a better place, a better traffic management.
So it's a bit sort of the problems that you've got is not just a single traffic management issue. It's quite important, all this development and how it's going to be served by the transport. So who is it who's actually driving the closure of the underpass then? Is it Harker or is it another force?
No,
and why are they doing it, Jahed? Why do they want to close the underpass?
I think they want to develop a multi-story residential property plus commercial property as well down there.
Well, in the underpass?
Yes, underpass when near the about roads and stuff. So they're gonna close the underpass.
No, not
When near,
underpass. I think
it's
on the
not on
both
the
side
underpass.
underpass there were some shops
Yeah.
proposing the shops, cafe, like
But
um,
my point is really because they're planning to regenerate Tibet, which is nice. I agree with that. Then Tibet needs the regeneration. Plus now they're planning massive development. They've already done, like Iqbal Bhai says, if you come to Abbot Road now, there's a massive
mm,
development on Abbot Road.
mm,
They increased quite a few fold people now. And it's really a tiny place, Aberfeldy. Tibet is like that as well. But my question is, when you're developing an area, obviously new people are gonna come. Like if they develop Tibet, I'm guessing around 10,000 new people coming Aberfeldy as well. But
mm,
where is the, resources? Like
mm,
what? I think they're proposing a new school,
mm,
but when the people comes, obviously people will need parking space for car. There's no provision on.
mm,
I don't think they have thought about it properly. The increased traffic. What are you going to do? Only from Tebut, there's only one way. You can go to about, A12,
mm,
or you can go through Kiev State. There's only one way.
yeah.
So now the massive deployment, the traffic they're going to come. How are you going to manage the traffic?
Mm,
They were proposing, a
yeah.
few months ago, they were proposing to close the main road on Tebut through their livable state. So people campaigned against it. So I think they posted now. But
mm,
I'll, yeah, I think you've seen in last about 2 days ago or probably yesterday, the council decided to go ahead with their livable state again. So they're increasing the development, increasing the population in area, and again they're closing the road or closing the access. So how are you going to manage the traffic that are going to be increased?
mm.
Now,
Yes.
local people now in Tibet plus Aberfeldy, they are, you know, now with this sort of traffic, the people are struggling with parking space, plus traffic and everything. So I think they have to think about it
Well,
before
we had
they
that
do the
very yeah. We
development.
had that we had that very
Because
bad incident on the Aberfeldy a while back, didn't we? Where that police officer arrested a man. I'm sorry, I've forgotten his name, but
oh yeah,
he had a
yeah, it's a
disabled child and he was parking
mm,
to try to go to his sister's
parking
for
in
lunch.
Yeah.
Auburn State, yeah.
Yeah.
Urban Street. The
Mm.
So we can see how sort of tense the parking
and
situation is.
This is
So
a
it,
massive
as you
problem
mentioned,
now.
Jenny, we don't know what happened to the police officer. I don't know what happened to that.
yeah, I don't know. We should
I
try to
don't know
follow that
either.
up,
Yeah, I
shouldn't we?
wonder
Yeah,
if somebody
yeah.
can.
No,
Yeah,
traffic is
nothing
already a
happened.
massive problem in our area in Lansbury.
Mm,
Traffic is
mm.
already a massive problem, especially the parking space.
I
It's a
think it's
massive
very,
problem.
yeah, it's very interesting. You know, that Iqbal raised, I think, the question of a bridge. You would have thought that with all that population there, they would have put a bridge over the A12 so people could access the DLR
A
stations.
safer, yeah, safer bridge. Yeah,
I know
Mm.
that you can walk from north of East India Dock Road. You can cross East India Dock Road and maybe make your way to East
I think
India or whatever.
I'll
But
tell you a
that's still,
story.
yeah, go
There
on then.
is two. There is a two or three, I think, footbridge foot underpass, which is like Iqbal Bhai says, it's not lit properly. There is no camera, nothing.
Mm,
And I remember in 1998 or 99, my oldest daughter, she was about
mm,
4 or 5, she was going to Colodoni school. I moved this area in 1997, and I'm talking about 98. My wife was taking my daughter to Colodoni school, and my
mm,
wife was attacked on the underpass,
dreadful.
and she had to run. And
Mm,
was a young kid. She attacked her. So we campaigned then, but they haven't done
mm,
anything. Basically, why don't you put a camera? There's a
mm,
technology there. I mean, if you put a camera to the underpass, footbridge, foot underpass, people
Mm,
can
Properly
say
lit.
safe, and it should be, well lit.
mm,
It's dark, and sometimes they don't clean it. People is drunk, people is a lot of antisocial behavior
mm,
going on there.
mm,
They don't have any, and it's sort of nowadays people don't use it.
mm. Okay, so
People,
the
you know,
first demand is to keep the underpass open. The
mm,
second demand is to clean it, and then the
Make
third
it
demand is to
safer.
light it
Safer.
and to put
but
CCTV camera there to make it
yeah,
safer. So is there sort of much support for that in the community, do you think?
yeah, there was in Aberfeldy, I think Brother Iqbal was involved there as well. There
Mm,
was a campaign signing on going, and massively people are fed up of it, fed up
mm,
of the development, unthink development, what I mean? So they're campaigning against the closer, and like we are saying, they want a safer passage, safer
mm,
underpass, well lit underpass, and if it's possible, if they can put a footbridge as well, because now,
mm,
because of the underpass, it's dangerous.
mm,
People are not using it. Even the
mm,
kids are crossing A12 through a traffic light, which is very dangerous.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Very dangerous
mm,
because they don't feel the crossing
Mm.
underpass is safer and
Because
extremely
mm,
dangerous.
the traffic speed here is 40 mile per hour. People are speeding. People are
mhm,
doing 50, 60, and
mm,
there is a traffic light there. So people are crossing through the traffic light, which is very dangerous in my view.
mm.
Uh, so I think a footbridge will be very useful. Plus, if they, make the underpass safer,
Well,
especially for the women.
what have the councillors as me calling it East India, which is its old name, in Lansbury? Lansbury's got three councillors, hasn't it? Have any of them shown
Well,
an interest in this issue?
unfortunately, if you contact them, I mean, I don't want to name
Mm,
anybody. Some of our councillors, they've been a long time councillor. So I haven't seen him doing anything. I've been living in
mm,
Lansbury since 97, and I haven't seen him doing anything. So we had a new councillor as well from 2018, a young boy. I
mm,
thought he could be, more ac- more active in the community. He could be listening to the community. But unfortunately, he is now he's in the cabinet and he's
mm,
got the position for livable street. So
mm,
here he is agreeing with his mayor, and they are going ahead
mm,
with closing the road. They're not bothered about how it's going to affect the local community, the traffic and everything. They think if they close the road, they are reducing the traffic, they're reducing the pollution. But
mm,
if you're closing a road, the traffic is not reducing. This
mm,
traffic, say for example, if you're closing the road here, you're
It will be somewhere
making,
else.
yeah, the making you
mm,
making you, I mean, you making the guy who living near the closer. He had to drive all the way to other road to come to his house.
mm.
So basically, you making him journey time more. So he's driving more. So he's polluting the area more. Plus,
Exactly.
you are basically moving the traffic from this road to next road. So
Shifting,
are you
shifting the problem
so
from
are
one
you
way.
reducing the traffic? You are not reducing the traffic. You are not reducing the pollution. Actually, you are increasing the pollution.
Well, what about your third councillor? I mean, you're a lucky ward. You've got three councillors. Has the third councillor not
Well,
engaged with community?
I haven't heard of her. I haven't seen her in the community.
All
I
right.
haven't heard of her in the community. I've only seen her during the election time, but I
Okay.
don't know about her, anything about her.
Well, I mean, you're right about Councillor Jahed Chowdhury,
Yeah.
because I did actually bookmark this and did want to mention it. Um, and he's issued a public statement in favour of the Livable Streets
Okay.
programme. He says, Tahamets is facing the challenge of a growing population and more vehicles on the roads, and Liverpool Streets as a programme is there to address those issues caused by the increased traffic. But he says while ensuring residents are still able to make essential journeys. I mean, this underpass closure is not part of the Liverpool Streets programme, but still taking, if that's the sentiment behind it, making sure residents can make essential journeys. That's seems to be a contradiction. Anyway, he then goes on, oh, we're
Yeah, I
continuing to
think
deliver improvements across Tower Hamlets through investing in public spaces, delivering school streets, additional electric vehicle charging points. We're going off the point here, Councillor Chowdhury, and bike hangers to make the borough an even better place to live. Does this man live in the same Tower Hamlets that we do? I just don't recognise what he's
no.
talking
I have
about,
no
I'm
idea.
afraid.
I have no idea. I have
Yeah,
no idea basically. I
that's
mean, where he lives. He lives in
yeah.
Toronto, I know,
We
but I don't
promise
know.
we'll be doing things that makes this place better place for people to live, a safer place to people to
Mm,
live. But it's not happening. We promise giving false promises, but nothing been done to make a, a better place or safer place for the less resident to live, because crime, the antisocial behavior is going up. We can't blame the youth only because they don't have any provision available around them, so they will be
Exactly.
engaging
Exactly. Exactly.
antisocial behavior. I want
Well,
to make
let me stop you there because I think we all agree that youth who have nothing to do, there's a temptation to get involved in antisocial behaviour. I just want to say to Councillor Kahed Chowdhury, if you're listening, you're very welcome to ring in and argue your case or even come on the programme next week. We'll drop our planned guest so you can come on the programme next week and then we can ask you questions about Liverpool streets and, whether you are responsive to the
Mm.
community. We're happy to do that. So that invitation is there to Councillor Chowdhury. But in the meantime, and I just wanted to ask you about, you're saying that young people have nothing to do in Lansbury, but Poplar Harker, of course, is unique in the borough because it's not only a landlord, it's also a youth service provider.
that's
And
right.
you've got the Spotlight Centre. I've never been able to find out who built the Spotlight Centre, who put the money up for it, or really who runs it. So, with that excellent facility, I know it's excellent because it says on its website it's excellent. So, with that excellent facility for young people in Lansbury Ward, why is there so much problem with youth not having anything to
Yes, that's
do?
right. Question is there. So
I don't know what
I don't know.
provisions. I mean, in Spotlight, I think they have some boxing classes and boxing or something like that. But mainly when I was growing up in Tower Hamlet, I saw the youth center that provided various activities like playing pools, playing snooker, getting together, sitting together, doing cultural programs and stuff. Nowadays, you don't see those types of programs that interest the young people most. How many people like boxing? Say, for example, they have probably they got a boxing facility, something like that. Probably about 2-3% of the kids they like boxing. Well, probably will go there. But what about the other other peoples? So you have to and now consider awarding Popla Harka to run the youth service. Popla Harka they have their best interest. Basically, it's a social model. They're saying they're
Mm,
social landlord, but basically they're the business people. They're thinking about their profit, their board of director.
mm.
They don't have any interest like council should have, because council should be responsible for the local people and the kid. So our proposal would be to keep the youth service under the council, so the council can
Mm.
monitor. It's not a something to be privatized.
Well, this
You
is
know, I
it,
mean,
isn't it? I mean, I'm just looking here on Poplar Harker's website. They have a page for Spotlight, and they say that it's Poplar Harker's youth service, and Spotlight delivers free, creative, active, and inspirational programs for 11 to 19-year-olds. So, I mean, that sounds very positive. They were opened in 2014, and they've worked with 8,000 young people since then. So, um, I don't understand. I can understand that Poplar Harker has the same problems as other social
no, I
landlords,
mean, I'll
but
give you
as
an
I say,
example,
that's
Jenny.
only part of their remit because their remit
No,
is also to be a
look,
youth service.
I'll give you an example. For example,
Mm,
I was the chair of TBBA for about 7-8 years. So we used to use Tabure Center, and we were providing services like nowadays. I mean, town hamlets mainly people live in overcrowding areas. So kids who are doing GCSE or
mm,
year 10, they don't have places to do their homeworks. They're, 3 or 4 siblings. They're living in a one room. They don't have space to
mm,
their homework. So So we used to provide that facility in Tribute Center. They could have come after 5 p.m.
Just
for to sit there, do their homework and stuff, and there was a tutor to help them with. And
Mm.
we used to get only 3 to 4 thousand funding from the council, third sector funding. In 2018, after the election, Mayor John Biggs he closed it. So you tell
Oh.
me now where those kids should go.
Mm.
Spotlight, they don't provide this sort of thing. Yes, they provide some excellent services, but they don't have the means or facility to provide those services we could have done
Mm.
through our community work. Especially there is a massive part to play by the faith sector, like mosque, like church, you know, and gurdwara or anything like that.
Mm.
Say, for example, if we could attract people with programs to the mosque, not only to for praying or stuff, it's a community hub. People come there.
Mm.
People can mix to those kids, those youngsters could have mixed with the older generation and stuff. They can exchange view and base. So you have to support those organizations to
Mm.
do this. And you don't have to support them massively. It's only 1, 2 thousand for their renting and stuff. But those funding, John Biggs, after 18 election, he closed it. So
So,
now, I mean, for my organization, TBBA, we used to support around 160, 70 kids.
mm.
And we were employing, say, about 12 to 16 tutors. Only we get 3,000 from the council, but majority part we were supporting voluntarily or we are paying for ourselves. But now because
Mm.
they closed this 3,000 for the funding, we don't have any space
Well,
to
you've
provide it.
certainly, yes. I'm sort of trying to hurry
Like
along here
it's not
because
only
we're,
it's not only tribute.
yeah.
This is the general circumcision in the tolerant area. All the organization is like that now. Most of the organization is closed now. They cannot
Mm.
provide any support, any services like that anymore because of this
Mm.
3,000, 2,000 funding they used to get from the council. So they could have paid the you know rent for the spaces they were using. Because the council closed it, it's gone now.
Okay. So, I'm hearing a lot of problems about youth provision and the small scale crime that perhaps comes from youngsters getting a
Yeah,
bit bored and lack of direction. Iqbal, I know you were very interested in, whether the young people were getting drawn, tempted into crime. Do you think it is just petty crime that the young people get drawn into, or is it maybe even more serious stuff? Iqbal, can you hear me?
I think it's internet connection probably.
I think Iqbal's having a little bit of a problem with his internet at the moment. So I'm afraid I'm going to come back to you, Jahed.
Yeah, gone.
I remember, in the last administration,
Mm.
something actually one of your councillors, not a councillor any at the moment, but one of your former councillors, I think, Councillor Oida Ahmed was
Yeah, Oidam,
very
yeah.
much in the leadership of was community safety walkabouts.
Yes,
Do,
yes.
do you think, obviously they've gone now under this administration, but do you think they had a part to play in detecting
They
the
had,
opportunities for crime?
yeah, they had under the previous administration, the leadership of Councillor Oid Ahmad, plus then Mayor Lutfur Rahman, they had devised a plan. They used to come for a walk around. Plus, you remember Dilare Day programs.
Oh, yes, I
Proper,
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
Dilare Day. Dilare Day was, police was told to at least arrest a dealer a
Mm.
day. So those programs was massively successful. Plus, they installed CCTV, and
Mm.
Tar Council had a very well equipped you know CCTV center where they can monitor all the CCTV in Tower Hamlets. But now
Mm.
most of the CCTV most of the camera is not working, and they close the
Really?
yeah. Now most of the camera is not working, so you can see people are using push bikes to doing the traffic and drugs, and those kids are only. When I see a 15, 16-year kids using a bike to deliver drugs,
Mm.
you know, and then they're doing it openly, and it's really upset me. If you call police, if you call police, they tell them that's what's happening. They will ask you, is anybody attacked? Is
Yeah.
anybody injured? Is anything happened? You say no. They go, sorry, you can't do anything. We know those, but they do. They say, look, we are out of resource. We don't have the
Mm.
resource to do everything. We know this sort of
Mm.
problem is going on. We are really sorry, we can't do anything. So now you tell me
Absolutely. Mm.
how. So I think the council should take the lead, and parents, schools, and law enforcement authority
Mm.
and council, that they should come together, and the community. It's a messy problem. They should come together and they should work hard to eradicate the problem. I know you
Mm.
cannot, especially the drug dealing and crime. I know you cannot eradicate it, or you cannot completely 100% make it a go. Make it a go.
Mm.
What you can do, you can minimize this crime. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. You see, before previous administration, under the previous administration, Tower Hamlet Council was one of the top in 10. It is to come and up to 10, 1 to 10 for education. Was
Mm.
one of the top borough in education. Our kids were going to Cambridge, Oxford, one of
Yes.
you see St. Paul's School, Morpeth School, plus uh, which was the school's name? Sorry, it's not coming. We were at the top now,
Mm.
but now even Newham is before us,
Mm.
you know, and you've seen Ofsted has criticized the Harvard Council for not once, about 2 or 3 times because
Mm.
of the failure. So all these are making our street more dangerous because
Mm.
I mean again I have to emphasize that because I don't blame the kids only because they don't have anything to do.
Mm.
What they're going to do? In my caveat, I can tell you in my caveat under my organization, they had a choice after 5 p.m. They had a choice. They could
Mm.
have come to our center, sit for 1 2 hours. It's not only do their homework, they can play, they can talk to their peers and stuff. Now this has been closed, you know. So
Well, I think
those
that's
kids, where
very,
where they
yeah,
goes,
it's
where
very
they go.
important, isn't it? I mean, people often don't understand just
Hmm.
what the level of overcrowding is in our housing and why children or younger people need space to go is precisely because of how
You see,
overcrowded things are at home.
hmm,
So, and you make a good point. We're nearly at the end of our time now, Jahed, because we started a little late. And one of the points I know Iqbal was going to make was it can be very difficult talking to Poplar Harker, which, as I said, when it was set up by Councillor Michael Keith, when he was leader of the council and in charge of selling off the housing to different housing associations, um, he made sure Poplar Harker was set up with a wider brief than just being a social landlord, but to try to regenerate the area as a whole. And unfortunately, what we've been left with is a, a body which is not necessarily responsible to residents. I mean, it's an illness, I think, running through all housing associations. They all, as far as I can see, they like to handpick 1 or 2 residents, put them on a committee, and then
yeah. I
be
mean,
nice
I
to them.
think
And that's
again,
not the same, is it,
I
as
agree with you.
proper
I
organisations?
I agree with you. Popular Harka, they promised a lot when they were formed.
Mm,
I remember the Easter
mm,
campaign come to us, and I voted for them as well. So because they promised a lot, they gave you a lot of things.
mm,
I mean, but unfortunately, basically they are looking after their directors now. I believe they are
mm,
just a business organization. They're looking for, I mean, they're looking up after their directors. So I think council should take a lead there.
mm,
They should use their power, they should use their authority to tell Harka that you are not a only business organization, you are a social landlord. You have to think about your residents.
mm,
I'm not against the development. I agree in a area like Teviot should be regenerated. Yes, there are a lot of things can be done and improved. But what I'm requesting Harka and Council as well, before you do the massive development, please do a feasibility study and see how it's going to impact the local area. Like the point we made before to your this program, the development they're doing, they're not thinking about any youth
Mm.
problem.
Well,
You
yes.
know what I mean? So when, say, for example, if you bring here, say, for example, 500 families, people are already struggling for the resources here. So on top of that, if you bring another, say, 500 families, it's going to be more than that. About 10,000, I think 10,000 people will come because the
Mm.
proposal they are giving. So
Yes.
where those extra young people will go after this school?
Well, we never worked that out on the island, I can tell you. As it happens, most of the people who moved onto the island didn't have children, but that did change. So one does get stuck in this way. I just want to read out, just if we had a few more comments. Um, Mayumia Talukdar says it's good to hear some community activists from Lansbury speaking out. Sadikur Rahman Bablu, I'm so sorry to hesitate over these messages, but I'm afraid my screen is very small, or not my screen, but the writing on it is very small. Uh, he likes the programme, so he's thanking you for um, talking out about these issues. Sadiqul Rahman Bablu says it's nice to see Lansbury. I think he says getting solider. Um, and Mohammed Ibrahim Ghazi is back, and he agrees. The underpass closing that is proposed by Harker, and it must not go ahead. It would destroy the community, create more pollution in Lansbury and the surrounding areas. 700 people have already signed the petition that's been set up by local people against the underpass, and that's got to be a campaign priority. And then he hopes that I suppose he's making the same comment as Councillor Kabir Ahmed made about Weavers in Weavers, didn't he, when he won the
Yes, yes,
by-election? His whole campaign was the council has got to listen to the people of Weavers and not take their
yes.
votes for granted. And the same point here, the council
Well,
should listen to the
Councillor
people of Lansbury.
Korbit on behalf of Aspire Party plus Councillor Harun Mian,
Mm,
we proposed to the council to come on, listen to the people because your proposal is not working. Closing one end of a street, you know,
mm,
doesn't reduce any pollution, doesn't reduce the traffic. All you are doing, making the life difficult for the local people. Even I was campaigning. I was
mm,
campaigning in Weber's ward. We have seen our own eyes.
mm,
You know, ambulance couldn't come to the door.
mm,
You know, so ambulance has to carry the people to their door. Most people,
mm,
and we've seen we've seen a white lady. She was around 90 or something like that, and she had moving difficulty as well.
mm,
She was stuck because you know her relative, her daughter, if she wants to come to see her, she had to come around all the way through different way. So
mm,
that doesn't make any sense to us, to local people. You are not
mm,
if it's say for example, if the traffic was reduced, pollution was reduced, fine, you do it.
mm.
But you are not reducing any traffic. Basically, you are
Absolutely.
making the journey longer. That means you are
Mm,
increasing the pollution. We are not against road closure, temporary road closure, or making a time limit. If there is a school and the traffic is causing, say for example,
mm,
causing dangerous dangerous to the kid, then okay.
mm,
During the school time, you limit the traffic in front of the school. If it's a primary school or secondary school, okay, from
mm,
8:30 to 9:30 or 3:30 to 4:30, you can close the door, say no traffic.
mm,
Fair enough. but there is no school, nothing. All
mm,
because there is some pub or there is some soap and stuff. You are making the road
mm,
footpath bigger for the pub to sit, people to sit and drink, enjoy. You close the road.
mm. Well, I would like to thank you very much for coming on tonight, Jahed, and I'd also like to send my thanks to Iqbal as well. I think both of you have spoken out, with great clarity about the issues that are going on in Lansbury. And I hope the people of Tower Hamlets will support you in your attempts to sort of take this very disjointed ward and actually pull it together
Thank
and
you.
make the authorities come up with a single solution to all
Thank
these
you, Jenny.
problems.
To your program, I like to tell the people of Tower Hamlet, obviously,
Mm,
from me and my party, we will think about the livable street, we'll review and we'll listen to the people, whether a development or any other program. They knows our record and we'll listen to the people. Every program we develop and we
mm,
propose, it will be for the benefit of the local people, not for
mm,
few, not for the few. And hopefully, hopefully,
mm.
in people would support us like they did through the Yes for More campaign. And through your program,
Yes.
I'd like to thank people of Tower Hamlet for giving us their belief, their trust, and keeping their voting
Mm.
right. Thank you very much for inviting us.
You're
Thank you,
very
Jen.
welcome. And do send me details of the petition, and maybe some more people would like to sign it. I think it's been mentioned in our
Mm.
comments box, but nobody's actually indicated where we could find it. Mohammed Ibrahim Ghazi, if you are still listening, perhaps you would like to actually say to us, oh, have we got a telephone call?
I think
Have
you
we,
have, yeah.
we've got, stay on a second, Jahed. Hello,
Okay.
caller. What's your name?
Hi, Jenny. This is me. I was unable to reconnect myself. I don't know what
Oh,
happened. Something went wrong with my internet. So I'm having problem to
No issues.
reach
All
in
right.
the
yes.
program.
Yes, I'm very sorry about that, Iqbal, but we enjoyed what you had to say, and so I think we've managed to come to an end now. We've had a good insight into what's going on in
Thank
Lansbury
you.
from both of you, and I'd just
Right.
like to ask
Okay.
ask for somebody to
I just
send me.
wanted to say about
Hmm,
the high-rise block on the west side of the Eberfeldy. So 2028 high-rise floor, 3-story building. It will have houses on the 11 Road and Abbott Road, the 2 rows of houses, will have no light in the late afternoon, and in the
hmm,
winter, in the spring, and late afternoon in the summer, because this series of block will block the light, having light on those houses in the garden
Garam lage.
at all.
hmm. Thank
And
you for that.
thanks for giving me,
Is is
Jenny.
is that has
Okay.
that building been built yet, or is it a planning application?
On the planning, sorry, Jenny, I missed this.
I think this is the
Has
proposed
that
planning.
is a planning application?
Mm.
Right. Well, hopefully the people in Lansbury can get themselves together and
Yeah,
take
yeah.
some of these objections to the council when that plan is considered.
So we have
And
people like, including former councillor Wahid Ahmed and
oh
Fakhrul Islam,
yes,
a number of people, activists are trying to get they're involved in this campaign to have a balanced development. In principle, we understand we need more houses, but it needs to be balanced
mm,
in terms of proportionally balanced development and not causing
yeah,
a long-term problem for the resident. A change can
yes,
cause a lasting problem for the resident. So we have to think
yes,
hard and twice before we make a decision. Underpass closure will have a huge detrimental impact on the life of people living in Aberfeldy. So I'm sure people resident here
mm,
will not people don't know about this. Okay, not people. So I'm not because petition going around. People are
mm,
people are waking up and they giving their opinion. Hopefully, we'll have more people on our side to ask
yes,
Harker to have a to review their master plan, and make a
mm,
balanced development approach and make a better place
and improve living standard. I mean, in terms of a safer place in
Absolutely.
of
Okay, well, I'm afraid we must stop broadcasting now, otherwise the airwaves will frazzle up because we've used them so much, and we'll never be able to come back again. So thank you both for
Thank you, Jenny.
coming on. I'm sorry I've had a
Thank you.
terrible cough, but I've managed to last the programme, so that's good. And again, we'll keep an eye on Lansbury. We'll come back to you and hope you are successful in representing your views to the council. So we'll follow that. If somebody can please send me the details of the petition, we'll put that up for people to have a look. And if your part of Tower Hamlets is not faring very well at the moment, please get in touch with me. I don't know if it's possible. I did write out my email address for a little display, so I hope if it's possible to show that now. It's jenny.fisher@eastlondonnews.co.uk. So if any of you would like to contact me there with your local stories, we'll be pleased to cover them very soon. But for now, I'll say good night to Jahed and Iqbal, and also good night to
Thank you,
you
Jenny.
viewers, and we'll see you again next week. Good night.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank